What is up, guys? I'm Andres.
This is RB3.
And this is The Meaning of Podcasts, the podcast where we get into your favorite film directors and the deeper meaning within their films. And once again, RB3, we got a very special director to talk about. It is a guy who has a lot of movies, and he's been around for a minute, and he's always...
IMDb 44 movies.
Oh, my God. And he's always making more. It's not like he's stopping anytime soon, and that is Mr. Steven Soderbergh, best known for, obviously, I believe Oscar-winning or Oscar-nominated Traffic.
Yeah.
And the Ocean's movies.
He won the Academy Award for Traffic.
There you
and
go.
Was nominated. He was the first director ever nominated for 2 Best Director nominees at the same year.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Same year.
But best known for that, and obviously the Ocean's movies are incredibly popular movies.
Yeah.
Even the most recent one was very popular. Ocean's 8 made a lot of money.
Right.
I remember that.
We could do a whole meaning of Oceans one day.
We can do, I mean, dude, this guy...
it's a remake of the,
He really is like a film, like, nut, because he gets really into, like, the old school heist movies, and I'm sure you know more about that because you went to film school and I didn't. But there is, like, an entire, like, heist film, like, exploration and heist film formula, essentially, that each filmmaker follows.
Right.
Cinefx has a short video about it. But it's really interesting because he essentially loves heist movies because that's kind of what he's known for, especially with the most recent one, Logan Lucky is his most recent heist film. But he does stuff like High Flying Bird, and he loves shooting on iPhones. He did it for 2 movies already.
Yeah.
2 movies. He did Unsane, all on an iPhone, and he did High Flying Bird, all on an iPhone. And that's part of Steven Soderbergh's like signature is him just being very innovative and just being very like exploratory, where he doesn't want limitations, where if people say, hey, we won't give you this kind of money to make that, he's like, fine, I'll shoot it on an iPhone. And I'll get 20 different shots of 2 guys sitting at tables.
Yeah, no, that was iconic.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that was the
that
best
scene.
Yeah.
The opening shots of the movie, right? That's how it opens?
Yeah, that's the first scene in the movie.
The conversation where he gives him the book.
Yeah, there's eight setups for one conversation.
It was like, I was losing my mind. I was like, we get it. It's on an iPhone.
Which, by the way, people should really know, like, he broke the 180 rule at least 4 times when he was cutting back and forth between
to be fair, like, he breaks a lot of rules in his movies. He really likes over the shoulder. He does that a lot. He really likes VO over different like scene changes. He does that a lot. He doesn't really do too many establishing shots as much as many other directors do. But yeah, he's a kind of guy who he follows his own beat, so to say, RB3, and that's kind of what we talk about here. That's kind of the basis of our tour theory, is doing things weird and then saying that's your artistic creativity.
Well, having a style.
That's a style, exactly.
And I think Steven Soderbergh is a director whose style is kind of hard to pin down.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's my next question, RB3. How would you pin down his style? Even though you just said that it's kind of hard to do it, how would you describe it? Not necessarily... cinematography, but just the stories that he likes to tell.
Well, I think for me, an overarching consensus that I get from his movies is that he just loves film. Like, he loves cinema, and a lot of his movies are essentially about filmmaking, just disguised in different ways. His first major successful feature, Sex, Lies, and Videotapes, it's a film that is very much it won the Palme d'Or back when it came out in 1989, is often credited with starting the independent cinema movement. And but it's very much a film about, like, what, even though it's a film that is about sex, it's also a film that is about filmmaking. It's a film about, let's explore how film affects people's emotions, and how the movie's all about how one filmmaker kind of interviews people and talk about sexual relationships and stuff like that. And it's like it goes to show you how therapeutic cinema in and of itself could be. I think that's a theme that persists through a lot of his movies, that if it's not directly about the love of cinema, it references a lot of classic cinema that Steven Soderbergh might be a fan of. Particularly for me, when I saw the most recent movie he did, Laundromat, which is a Netflix exclusive that hasn't come out yet for Netflix, but it's showing in one theater in LA.
He shot that in
he shot that on regular cameras.
Okay,
yeah, there's a big movie. Trust me, if Meryl Streep's on set, like, you're not gonna pull out the iPhone for the shooting. You know what I mean? He'll do that for Bill Duke. That's my man, Bill Duke. So this is my mentor. We'll talk about High Flying Bird, but yeah, that movie very much references a lot of, like, French cinema, very much like Jean-Luc Godard. We're gonna talk about that when we do the review for it. But yeah, Steven Soderbergh, he transports a lot of different styles from a lot of different time periods, whether it's the 60s heist movies for Oceans, or it's the gritty, like neo-realistic documentary style political thrillers like Traffic, or it's, you know, kind of a more standard biopic in the vein of Erin Brockovich or something like that. So he kind of plays with a lot of different styles that are really interesting.
Yeah. You know what I noticed rewatching a few of his films over the weekend? I obviously, like you said, he's got 44. I didn't do them all, guys, full disclosure, or even close to all of them.
Right. How could you?
I know, it's impossible. But at the same time, the ones that I did choose, I noticed there's like a pattern of him. I think what he likes to do the most is two things. He likes to explore different communities, different worlds. Example, Ocean's world is very much the casino world, and there's like an entire city dedicated to it, right? It's Las Vegas. In Logan Lucky, it's the southern West Virginia, North Carolina, very southern traditional kind of world where it's very blue collar, and that's the little world he likes to talk about. In High Flying Bird, it's the NBA sports community with sports agents, and that's like an actual world too. I listen to sports podcasts that literally just talk about trade talks and who's moving and new contracts and player mobility and all this kind of stuff that's really growing in the NBA. Or even just like the culture. And I mean, High Flying Bird is very dense. It talks about a lot of stuff, but that's a little community. Right. Each one of his films,
Traffic deals with 3 different communities.
Yeah, Traffic is also about little communities. And I have his movies pulled up right here. But that's something he does a lot with pretty much all his movies. Even movies like Magic Mike. It's about the world of strippers. Because that's an actual like world of like, there's an actual like community and they get together and they hang out and there's like a social aspect between the culture of being a stripper.
Have you seen Hustlers?
That's another one. I want to see that.
Yeah, that's top 5 of the year for me.
Really?
For sure.
See, people keep saying that, man. Hustlers. People keep saying like J-Lo is like on a different level.
J-Lo kills it. Who's the Candace Wu killed it.
Oh, yeah, she's great.
Yeah. Cardi B was only in it for 5 minutes, unfortunately.
I really want to see that movie, man. People keep saying I can't lie to you, RV3. I saw the trailer, and I was like, yo, this looks bad.
Nah, dude, I'm telling you.
And then I hear the reviews, and everyone's like, yo, Oscar. And I'm like, Oscar?
Yeah.
For Hustlers, man?
Yeah. It's the Goodfellas of stripper movies.
Really?
For sure.
Damn, man, I got to see that movie. But essentially, Hustlers, I'm assuming, also talks about that little community, right?
Yeah, and by the way, you should check out, we did a whole video about strippers with Anthony Padilla. Where we interviewed strippers.
I was going to say we did?
No, I did.
Okay, you did.
But Cade was a part of it too, friend of the show, Cade. And
and over the weekend too, I found out that Cade is an actual famous superstar.
Hey, Cade,
bro,
yeah, I mean,
you can't.
My guy, man.
I'm telling you, man, you can't throw a party like that and not be slightly either filthy rich or filthy famous.
Yeah.
And I was yo, Cade. I didn't know we had like a famous person in here, man.
He's going to be both in the future,
damn,
man.
Bro.
That's my guy, man.
That was like a loft and like a pool. And
nah.
Like 100 people.
It wasn't a loft.
It was like a
mansion.
Club,
it was
a mansion.
Bro.
Bro, what the hell?
It was the top. It was the top house on the Beverly Hills.
He had like dancers on like
there's
top
no
speakers, bro.
Like,
I was like, bro, who is this guy?
Nah. It's like, man. It's Cade Usley. He's listening.
Yeah, shout out to Cade.
He probably doesn't make it this deep to episode.
I don't think anyone does. Very few people do. If you still are, thank you.
15 minutes.
Yeah, first 15 minutes, people are like, Soderbergh.
Yeah. We're talking movies.
Talk about Marvel.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's kind of what I've noticed. I don't know if you agree with that he does like to dive into little communities and kind of immerse himself into it. Obviously, he's not from these communities. Yeah. But at the same time, he just loves to learn about it and loves to put them on screen, which I kind of appreciate, if I'm being honest.
And he presents these communities with like this honesty, you know what I mean? I think a lot of the times, particularly when you look at his films, they kind of blur the lines between documentary and fiction. There's a lot of times where characters directly address the camera. In High Flying Bird, there's moments where like real NBA players or real freshmen and rookies, real rookies and sophomores in the NBA are actually giving like real interviews, and that are in black and white when it goes back and forth. A lot of his films are like that.
Do you remember who they were? I forgot who they were. Donovan Mitchell was one of them.
Donovan Mitchell, yeah.
Homeboy, Cat. Karl Anthony Towns was one of them.
Karl Anthony Towns, you're right.
Bro, I know my NBA, bro.
Yeah. That's why Lakers going to be on top.
Yeah, what?
At Lake Show.
Oh, bro. It's all about them Suns, bro. We're going to get 20 wins this year. 20 wins.
When he had an 80?
20, bro.
20 out of 82? And if they reduce it down to 78?
For, right? You know who I'm rooting for?
Who?
You already know who I'm rooting for, bro.
Who? Clippers?
Come on, bro. Yeah, it's all about what it do, baby. What it do, baby. Clippers, man. Championship. Yeah, sorry, man. Lakers are going to lose. Either way, you wanted a rundown of this. You had it all planned out because you are much smarter and organized than I am.
Nah,
so what's your little rundown for us not to bore the people with 4 hours of Soderbergh?
Yeah, right. So, I mean, just kind of the way I figured we talk about it. We talk about his more commercial films, his heist films. Or more crime-related films first. So that includes, obviously we talked a little bit about Sex, Lies, and Videotape. That's not really a crime movie. But Out of Sight is a big one. The Ocean's Trilogy, of course. And The Informant is a big one as well. Magic Mike is kind of a crime movie. It turns into a crime movie to a certain point. And Logan Lucky as well. So those are kind of the main ones that we're going to kind of start talking about. And
what do you want to start with?
Well, before we get into like the heavy crime movies, we could talk a little bit about sex lies, and Videotape a little more before, just to kind of acknowledge his kind of presence in cinema history. This movie came out in 1989, won the Palme d'Or. Like I said, I think a lot of people credit this movie and Reservoir Dogs and Clerks as the three movies that kind of kicked off the independent movement in the late 80s, early 90s. I would also personally put Do the Right Thing in there, even though Do the Right Thing is not an independent movie that was released by Universal on the same weekend that Batman came out.
That's so true.
Yeah, so
that's right, because I went to Horror Nights and they had a big poster of Do the Right Thing.
Yeah, really.
And I'm like, really? They're promoting Do the Right Thing? That's a Universal movie.
That's Universal. But those four movies are arguably what kind of carried into the 90s generation of independent filmmaking. So,
and that's part of the independent filmmaking is to feel it, right? To feel that it's an independent film and not feel the giant establishing shots and all that kind of stuff.
Right. I mean, Sex Lies literally has 5 locations in it, and it revolves around 4 characters. So a lot of people credit it with starting the mumblecore movement, because it just kind of takes place with these houses with these characters really just talking to each other. And a lot of people credit it with establishing a lot of the 90s independent cinema and 2000s independent cinema as well, like the free, loose hand kind of just characters rapid talking, like not mumblecore, but kind of the more improvised style of like relationship drama-ish type things, you know what I mean? And some people, obviously if you go back in time before that, like, Cassavetes was doing that kind of story before for a long time too in the 1960s, but this is kind of like the modern version of that. So Soderbergh really kind of brought that to the screen. Yeah,
and obviously we haven't mentioned the talent in the movie, but my God, you guys remember Andy McDowell?
Oh yeah,
damn. that's Andy
McDowell.
Shout out to her.
And of course, James
Spader.
James Spader, yeah, he plays a filmmaker in this. So yeah, that's salute to Soderbergh for kind of kicking off a lot of important stuff with that first movie.
Absolutely. What's another one?
Another one, Out of Sight. That's probably one of his bigger hits early on in his career. That one is with George Clooney. Before he was a megastar, this was really coming right after Batman, and this is one of those movies that kind of gave him a stepping stone into mainstream stardom. Jennifer Lopez is also co-starring in this as well. It's a crime movie, and it's crime comedy. It's based on the same source material as Jackie Brown, or the same author. So it's kind of in the shared universe of Jackie Brown to some extent.
And it's really dope. It kind of establishes his tone that he kind of does in, I don't want to say all his crime movies, but almost all his crime movies have comedy.
Yeah.
Some more than others, obviously.
Yeah.
But that's what people like, the blending between action and comedy and building tension, but at the same time releasing the tension with a joke or a zinger or something like that.
Right.
And this is, obviously, it didn't start the Clooney Sans.
Yeah.
What's that show did? ER did.
Yeah.
But this was Clooney doing his Clooney-sance. I don't know what
Yeah,
else to
yeah,
call
and
it.
but he was, this movie.
But this
really,
was full Clooney-sance.
Yeah, but this
1998
is
like
this is him. This is
peak
him mixing.
Clooney.
This is him mixing comedy and drama. This is him. He plays this kind of bank robber who goes in and out of jail a lot. And a lot of times when he's in jail, he has like funny interactions with like a lot of his jail mates, like Don Cheadle.
I was going to say, you'll start to see the same actors pop up in a lot of Soderbergh movies, but Don Cheadle's one of them. Obviously, Clooney's one of them. Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's just funny. I mean, I think overall, like this movie really is kind of a quintessential action comedy. A lot of people consider it one of the better crime movies of recent history. And yeah, I really dig it. So. And it's, like I said, Jackie Brown connection. Michael Keaton plays the same character in Jackie Brown as he does in this movie.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Nicholas,
it is kind of like a connected universe.
Yeah.
MCU of Jackie Brown.
Yeah, but just for 2 movies.
I know.
But yeah.
Still.
Yeah.
That's great, man. What's another one? Or do you want to get into the...
Let's just talk Oceans, man.
Let's do it, man.
Let's talk Oceans.
Let's do... how many of these are there?
There's 3 of them.
Okay.
11, 12, and 13.
Okay, so there's clearly better ones than other ones.
Yeah.
I want to hear your brief ranking, or at least your favorite.
Well, I think a lot of people will probably put them in descending order, Oceans 11, Oceans 12, Oceans 13.
That's a kind of a good point, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people would do.
Where the first one's better than all of them, kind of?
Yeah. I mean, that's just how people are. It's just what's ever fresh,
Sure. But
I vibe a lot with Oceans 12, though.
Oceans 12 is fun.
Yeah,
it's a very fun movie, too. But the whole formula, kind of break down the formula of this heist movies and heist movies in general. Essentially... I know a little bit about it, but essentially, part of it is like finding a team, and each team member has like a special gift or a skill that can be used in this heist, and then they have to build a plan, and then they have to map everything out. There's always like some sort of mapping that goes along, and all this kind of stuff, and then obviously completing the heist, and then a bump in the road, right, where something goes wrong. That always happens in every heist movie. And then overcoming that, and then some sort of consequence to it. At least I've seen in every heist movie, there's like some sort of consequence.
Right.
Or a backtrack or something that didn't go right, but they still pull through. That's kind of the little basic formula that I see in every heist movie. But Oceans is a lot of fun because, like I said before, it has a lot of fun, goofy characters that are very like, unique characters, I guess, for lack of a better word, put in this high tension moment where everything has to go right.
Right.
That's kind of I don't know if you see that as the formula 100%. Between the Oceans movies.
Yeah, I think that's really the overriding kind of theme of these movies. I think really Soderbergh kind of created the modern archetype for what modern heist movies kind of look like, Of course, there's heist movies before, and the movie in and of itself, the first Oceans movie, is based on the 1960s Ocean's 11. That was really just a star vehicle for like Frank Sinatra and like the Rat Pack, So this movie kind of had to take the difficult task of making like this 1960s like kind of fun casino heist, kind of slapstick. I mean, most people don't even remember the original 1960s movie because it's kind of trash, or at least unintentionally campy. But Soderbergh took the material and made it into a really smart and artsy and more sophisticated heist film. And I think for me, that's what, when you talked about what's Soderbergh's defining style, and I kind of didn't really know how to explain it. I think his one defining trait is that he will always make everything challenging. You'll never really understand one of his movies just on the first watch. You know what I mean? Like never. Like that would just never be a thing. You kind of have to. That's
kind of part of the mumblecore.
Yeah.
Mumblecore is different, but it's a lot of like smart dialogue. I don't know. Big words.
Yeah. But even for particularly with Sex, Lies, and Videotapes, going back to that one, you have to rewatch that one a lot because the more you watch it, the more you realize about each character's like individual like emotion and introspective stuff. For Out of Sight, you kind of have to rewatch it a lot to understand the mystery of it. For this one, for the Oceans trilogy, you kind of have to, pay close attention to pieces of dialogues that are set up here or moments that are set up in the beginning, and then it ultimately pays off towards the end. And I think that's just an overall, an overarching staple throughout his movies. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, this is a who's who cast, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have George
insane.
Clooney leading the charge, but you also have Brad Pitt,
Matt Damon.
But the Brad Pitt and Matt Damon roles are very like. Brad Pitt always likes to have fun in all his roles, I guess.
Yeah,
and this is him having
Brad Pitt
fun.
might be one of my favorite white actors.
Yeah,
man,
me
honestly.
too.
I don't think he's ever said the N-word in the movie.
Are you sure?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Nah, I'm pretty sure though.
Is that how you measure?
I keep a list.
Really?
Yeah.
I know you keep a list, but I don't know. I don't know if there's that many. Is there a lot? I don't know. You might know.
I literally can't find most white actors.
Okay.
Like those are it.
Really?
At some point, yeah.
Damn, man.
But I mean, it's movies, you know.
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
gonna be
movies.
mad at it.
You're a Tarantino fan.
Yeah, man.
That guy says it for fun.
Nah. In the 90s, he did. In the 90s, he
Hey,
did.
it's still happening.
In the 90s.
I mean, Bernie Mac's in this movie, man.
Yeah, he's like in the first scene.
Is Don Cheadle in the first one?
Yeah, Don
Okay,
Cheadle.
he is,
Yeah.
Don Cheadle.
They gave him a goofy accent in that.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a really.
Andy Garcia plays the bad
That's
guy.
right.
Julia Roberts, obviously. So
And everyone plays their role pretty fun. And it's one of those things where, like, obviously I'm really reaching here to make this comparison, but kind of like in the MCU, how everyone has their favorite character. Or maybe like a Guardians is a better example. Where in Guardians, each member is like either weird or quirky, or has their, like, Drax is this guy, or Groot is this, but he's got a big heart, but he doesn't really talk much, or Rocket is crazy, but he's still a cute raccoon. And you can kind of pick your favorite, and that's why it's kind of fun to be like, who's your favorite from the Guardians movies? And you can kind of be like, oh, I like Drax, or I like Nebula, or I like Gamora, and that's you pick your favorite. For these kind of movies, you can do the same thing, where you just like, man, I really like Bernie Mac's character, even though he's only in it for, or I like Don Cheadle's character, even though he's in it for a shorter period of time, than necessarily picking.
Look at the characers you're assigning me.
No. I'm saying these are the ones I want. I like versus like Danny Ocean, who's he's the leader. And he's but you're like, whatever, George Clooney. For me, that's how I react to it.
I think that's what makes good heist movies and good ensemble movies. Is like you kind of have to have the straight man, the leader, but you have to have the other characters act as some sort of relief.
Yeah.
Either comedic relief or.
Am I wrong in saying that sometimes you like those side characters more than the lead?
Yeah, for sure.
Because the lead is being the straight man, and you're just like, whatever, he's just the leader guy. But I prefer the side characters.
Right.
That's just me and how I usually watch movies.
That's how spin-offs usually take off. And there are some good spin-offs and some bad. I didn't ever get around to seeing Ocean's 8.
I was literally about to ask you, what about Ocean's 8?
Yeah, I never got around to seeing it.
He directed that one, right?
No.
Okay, he did.
Gary Ross did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't necessarily have to talk about it.
Yeah.
But I heard decent things. I heard it was all pretty fun. And
I will.
I'll watch it. Sarah Paulson.
Yeah.
Literally, all you have to say is Sarah Paulson,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
You know my love for Sarah.
Of course.
I think she's a genius.
Yeah.
So I will watch it just for her. But then again, Julia Roberts, man.
Yeah. She's great, and that's why I have an affinity for Ocean's 12, because that's the only movie that the scene where she has to get into the museum, and they're like, you know what, you kind of look like that one actress, and they make her act like Julia Roberts, so it's Julia Roberts playing Julia Roberts.
Oh my god!
And then Bruce Willis comes up to her and he's like, "Hey, Julia, I thought you were in L.A." Like, amazing. That's an amazing scene.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
We'll talk about our favorite. Let's not spoil our favorite moments. I want to do like a favorite Soderbergh moment, maybe at the end. But I would probably spoil mine once we get to my movie. But yeah, man. I mean, essentially, if every single one of these movies follow the same formula,
Right.
And obviously they have some recurring characters and some new ones. Since you're a big Mission Impossible fan, am I being crazy if I say there's like a weird little
No, of course.
similarity to the Mission Impossible movies? How there's like same cast and crew in each like not Scotty. What's his face? Is his name Scotty? Homie Simon Kinberg?
He's Scotty in the Star Trek movies.
Scotty in Star Trek. That's right.
Yeah.
I'm so dumb. I forget his name. Benji
yeah.
doing his computer thing, and then you have Homegirl kicking ass, and there's always like a role that people take on.
Right.
And if you make a new Mission Impossible, some people say, some people are added.
Right.
Like there's this formula that you kind of get, and then there's always like this trickery with the mask, and then in the Ocean's movie, there's like this trickery with like, haha, you thought I was over here, but I really
thought
got
the money
this.
was in this bag.
Exactly.
It's in this bag.
Right? Am I right in saying there's similarities between these two franchises?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's just the heist movie, kind of formula. But I think Soderbergh does it in a really artsy way.
That's true.
So it doesn't look like it's just a traditional heist movie.
Sure.
But I think a lot of particularly Ocean's 13 references, a lot of upper scale heist movies like Hitchcock's To Catch a Thief is directly referenced in that movie. So there's a lot of, and whereas Ocean's 11 is about casinos and Ocean's 12 is about museums, Ocean's 13 is about like robbing people's personal homes or personal belongings, like robbery,
And each one of them is always this kind of, and we see that in his other heist movies, how you're rooting for people who are thieves. But they're such lovable characters.
Yeah.
And the thieves are always like,
and the people
you're stealing from those guys.
Yeah, the people
That's
you're stealing
fine.
from,
they're always kind of assholes or just people like, you're like, they're fine.
Right,
they don't need $10 million.
Exactly.
Let's move on to a movie that I haven't seen, to be honest.
Which one is that?
And that is Magic Mike.
Magic Mike, yeah.
Talk to me about the Magic Mike movies, because there's two.
There are two, yeah.
And I know Childish Gambino's in one of them.
Yeah, he's in the second one.
He's in the second one.
Yeah.
I remember when he was promoting that, and he was doing like the press tours.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's funny. I didn't even know Childish was in this.
Yeah. No, it's weird. I mean, for some reason, Soderbergh didn't take credit for directing the second one. Or maybe he actually didn't. I think maybe the DP directed the second one. But also, we haven't noted this yet throughout talking about his filmography. A lot of times, Soderbergh, like, not only directs the movies or writes the movies, a lot of times he'll DP his own movies. A lot of times he'll also edit his own movies. Sometimes he'll give himself pseudonyms for doing those things. So it kind of goes back, kind of goes back and forth between the auteur and like the identity of the auteur.
Sure.
And what stamp is put beyond it.
Exactly. And you can tell he wants to have that control, which all directors want.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he has the skill and the talent to do it. Right. Which is not all directors can.
Right.
But yeah, man, Magic Mike, starring Channing Tatum. This is full. I just said about the Clooney songs. This is full Tatum songs.
Right, Tatum songs. Yeah.
Back when Tatum was like the hottest thing in Hollywood.
Jump Street came out the same year.
21. And then before that, obviously, what was the movie called? Step Up? Step Up, the dancing movie?
Yeah, that's the
that
way
was
he got
way
his
before.
break. But I think 2012, I think he had 3 movies that were like #1 in the box office. It was some Nicholas Sparks movie.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Mike.
Yeah.
Do you know the movie? The Vow. Yeah. Sabrina pointed that off camera.
Yeah.
Sabrina, introduce yourself.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
I'm Sabrina. I knew that The Vow was the one that Channing Tatum was in, so that's my commentary for today.
Thank you for being here. Tell us just a quick little factoid about you.
Sorry, I'm trying to adjust these headphones.
Yeah. It's complicated.
My favorite movie is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and I've seen it about 75 times. Most recently, last night.
Wow.
So that's, yeah.
That is favorite.
Yeah.
That's
Also,
incredible.
Magic Mike.
Oh.
Hot take, the second one is better than the first.
Ooh.
There it
There
is.
you
Yeah.
go.
So if Soderbergh didn't direct that one, sorry.
Oh, thank you. And I gotta mention,
Yeah.
I don't know if you're a Tatum fan, but Tatum is a guy who I mentioned before. I don't think we were live. That Tatum is a guy who kind of got criticized, especially for Step Up, about not really being an actor. He's more of a dancer, kind of thing. That was a quote you kept hearing about him.
Right.
And then 21 Jump Street really made him the funny guy, which I thought worked perfectly. But Soderbergh, in my opinion, and I said this off camera, kind of made him like a good actor, actor, where you're like, man, Tatum can act, like he's good.
Well, also before Magic Mike, also came out was The Haywire, which was also directed.
That's
by Soderbergh.
right.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Homegirl is in it, Gina Carano,
yeah,
and Michael Fassbender's in that.
Yeah.
It's a crazy action movie.
Yeah.
That's
good,
right.
actually.
And
Where
Channing
all this stuff's
Tatum,
physical.
yeah.
Yeah, Channing Tatum was in it.
Yeah.
Channing Tatum was in that. He was also in the other movie.
Side
came out,
Effects?
Side Effects.
Yeah.
And
Was that 2009? Side Effects?
Side
I had it
Effects was
written in front of me.
2013 or 2014.
13, okay, my bad.
And he was also maybe I'm mistaken on this. I thought he was also in that movie Contagion as well. But Contagion was with Matt Damon.
I think he might have been.
Yeah.
But either way, this is kind of him and Magic Mike leading the movie, literally.
Yeah.
And showing off his skills, not just as an actor, but homeboy can dance, right?
Right,
we learned that in Step Up.
Right.
I don't know how many Step Up movies you've seen, RB3.
I've seen them all.
I was going to say, I've seen them all.
Yeah, Step Up 3D is like an actual
I love
classic.
Step Up,
yeah,
man.
Yeah.
What's your favorite one?
Step Up 3D.
Okay, really? That's your favorite?
Yeah.
Damn, it's got some good scenes in there.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, my brother has a few friends who were in those movies.
Yeah.
Quite a few friends who were. I told you my brother knows a lot of dancers.
Right.
When I moved out to LA, I met like a ton of them, and they're like dancers, and they're pretty much all in the Step Up movies.
Right.
Because homeboy who directed, what's his name? Was it Justin Lin or was it other guy? I forget his name, but he did the Step Up movies.
He did.
But he did a show on
John
Hulu.
Chu.
John Chu.
Yeah.
He did a show on Hulu called LXD. That was just a dancing show.
Okay.
But yeah, I have a connection to Step Up movies.
He did the Bieber movie that I like.
He did the Bieber movie.
Yeah.
He did the Bieber movie. That's right.
Yeah. He did 2 Bieber movies.
He did Bieber.
I like the first one.
And he did something else that didn't make any money. But either way,
It's like Glee 30.
something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
But either way, those are he proved in those movies that he can dance.
Because he was a real stripper in real life.
That's
so
right.
This is a kind of autobiography.
Hey, man.
And that's why I also, that's why I'm talking about Soderbergh. He kind of blurs the line between documentary
That's right, yeah.
and real life because obviously Channing Tatum, he kind of adapts that like straight from real life. So,
Absolutely. Hey, man.
Yeah, salute to him
If you
for
need,
that.
You need to make money.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. Also, one that we kind of hopped over a little bit, but
Sure.
like still kind of, I think is a little worth talking about. Is The Informant from
That's right, with
2009.
Matt Damon.
And Matt Damon.
Did he get nominated for this one?
I think for a Golden Globe.
Oh, okay.
But I
Not
don't know
this
for
one.
the Oscar. Yeah, but this is a very interesting movie because it's all about an FBI informant who like literally can't stop lying. Like that's kind of his thing. Like, and only real reason I'm bringing this up is have you been following the 6ix9ine stuff?
Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Yeah.
Is the funniest meme
Yeah.
I've seen. Have you seen those? There's some anime. I'm on the anime side of Twitter, which is like even funnier.
Okay.
But on the nerd side of Twitter, they showed the ending of Spider-Man: Far From Home, and instead of Jake Gyllenhaal being like Spider-Man's Peter Parker, it's Tekashi. He's like, "Yo, Spider-Man's Peter Parker," and Spider-Man's like, "No." It's the funniest thing ever, bro.
Nah, I'm with it.
And then obviously they do like some other ones where it's like, well, you've seen Death Note. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the anime. Have you seen the anime?
Yeah.
Where he's like, Light Yagami is Kira. And Light's like, what the hell, bro? And he's just snitching on everyone. It's the funniest shit ever. But you're right. It does have a connection to Tekashi. Have you seen? Did you see SNL over the weekend? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you see that line? What did he say? Teriyaki. Teriyaki 69. Kanye.
Kanye, who do you need me to flee? Is it ASAP Rocky or is it?
He said, "Is it ASAP Rocky?" Or did he say, "Is that little girl Teriyaki 69?" I lost it, bro.
So good. That's
I
so
lost
good.
it.
Yeah, no.
Bro, that SNL's. I think it's so funny.
Yeah, it's going good, man.
But you're right. It's totally. This is
that's
kind of
real life
similar
stuff,
to Tekashi.
Yeah, but it's just funny that
I would love to talk to you like on a side about just hip hop and Tekashi in general.
Yeah, we don't talk
because I had a lot of thoughts on him 2-3 years ago. Where he's like this little crazy Mexican dude with like rainbow hair.
Yeah.
And every time I hear his music, I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like I liked what's his face. XXXTentacion. I really liked his music, and there's some similarities.
Like his person, but you like his personality.
Yeah, but there's some similarities between their kind of screaming, rapping, crying, emo. I'm gonna kill you and rip your brains out kind of raps. That's what he would rap, dude.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know if X will rap that.
He did
later on in his career. I don't know.
Did he not hear his most famous rap?
Music.
Is that?
Yeah, I know his most famous song.
I was gonna say.
But I mean, like he started making pop music.
Sure.
Like, you know what I mean? So.
But either way, we'll talk about Tekashi on another episode.
Special edition.
Everyone's gonna love that.
Yeah. I think he's gonna come out and just start making Spanish music. I think that's what's gonna happen.
Really?
Yeah,
he's gonna be hanging out with J Balvin and
and
Bad Bunny.
Yeah, that's my prediction, man. That's my prediction.
But yeah, man, you're totally right. This movie is a very interesting movie, and it does have that combination between the Soderbergh formula of like humor and tension. And for The Informant,
sure.
I mean.
For sure.
And Matt Damon is great.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's finish up with Logan Lucky before we go to break. This is the most recent one I've seen, obviously, because it's his most recent movie in theaters. Am I wrong by saying that?
Well, Unsane was in theaters. But
Unsane was in theaters, but this was after Unsane.
This is before Unsane.
Was it?
Yeah. I think it was.
It was before. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
it's
but this is
his
last movie shot on a real camera. That's
shot on a real camera.
Yeah.
There we go. I adore this movie, RB3.
Yeah,
I adore it.
And, after this point, from after Side Effects, he actually announced he was going to retire from filmmaking.
He's definitely not retiring.
he used he said he was retiring from filmmaking, but he started directing a lot of plays, TV shows, and Logan Lucky was kind of seen as his return, per se. So
what do you think about this one?
I like it. I like it a lot.
Really?
It uses the same Ocean's template.
It does.
But just puts it in the South and makes it about
exactly.
racing cars.
It's literally about. It's the exact same. It's like an Ocean's movie set in the South with North Carolina and West Virginia. But this movie, I think it's the perfect combination between humor, tension, heart. It has a lot of heart with a little daughter, Channing Tatum's little daughter in the movie.
Right.
Adam Driver's hysterical in this movie. There's like the family connection where the whole family is in on it. There's the fun like reveals that they do at the end of the movie, similar to like a Brothers Bloom or something like that, where there's like, haha, look what I did. And you're like, oh shit, he's really smart, even though he's a country Southern dude, right? Because that's the stigma, right? That these guys are dumb, they're blue collar. And it's actually like, oh no, they're really smart. But the movie starts with him getting fired because of the insurance claim or insurance issue, which is something that's an absolutely fascinating conversation that's happening in the South, right? And we've talked about it vocally on many episodes about how the South is like struggling and they kind of ignore their issues and kind of push them away, even though like people are literally using them as bait and then throwing them under the bus. And by people, I mean like politicians use that section of the South and use key words to just kind of hypnotize them and be like, haha, look what you're doing. And in reality, it's like, bro, they're screwing you over so hard. And that's kind of why you're rooting for them, right? I was rooting for them the whole time because you see that they're kind of like good Southern folk. And you're like, yeah, steal from NASCAR. Go do it. Right. I'm rooting for you. I want you to succeed.
Right.
I don't know if you felt the same way.
No, I think so. Yeah, I think that's why a lot of people connected with this movie. I mean, it didn't do great in the box office.
It didn't, no.
And but I think overall, I think the whole idea of like being from the South and like being, a lot of people, even on the political spectrum, a lot of people label people from the South as like, these hardcore redneck Republicans. You know what I mean? So it's like, so I think what this movie
dumb,
does,
to be fair,
or dumb.
A lot of people
dumb.
in LA, bro. I'm saying, say dumb.
Yeah. Well, to be fair,
I feel like that's kinda,
there are a lot of dumb people in the South. Like,
but there's a lot of dumb people everywhere, bro.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dumb people in Twitter. There's a lot of dumb people in LA. Yeah. I've met a lot of dumb people in LA. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But either way, I really, hey, it's the truth.
Salute to Texas. Texas is our second biggest market.
Oh, no way. Shout out to Texas, man. I used to live there.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But yeah, I adore this movie, man. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it has some great cast of characters. I think Daniel Craig's hysterical in this movie.
Yeah.
I love, there's certain lines in this, even it's in the trailer, but he's like, I'm going to get naked. It's like, no peeking. I said no peeking. The entire movie is just hysterical. Yeah. And there's a scene in this movie that's probably going to be my favorite all-time Soderbergh scene. And it's for a very specific reason, and you probably know what it is.
I'm looking forward to it.
But yeah, I love this movie, man. I think it's a lot of fun. And it's very clever in the sense of how they reveal everything that went on in Channing Tatum's plan. And it still has little moments of a lot to say. I really like that Adam Driver's character is a vet. And he's still struggling, right? And he's missing an arm. He's a vet.
PTSD,
PTSD. Like this is the kind of stuff that they deal with. And I love that Daniel Craig's brothers are like smart and they appreciate people, and they're stereotypes, but at the same time they can live beyond their stereotype.
Yeah.
And even they're like even though it's played for jokes, their little moment of just like, if we're gonna rob somebody, it's got to be someone pretty bad. You know, we got to do it for moral reasons because we love the Lord. And I'm like, that's kind of nice. At least I thought so.
Yeah, they're nice guys.
I thought they were nice guys. I was like, that's nice, man. I would do the same thing. I'd be like, I got to rob bad people. And then when they're like, NASCAR is American, we're robbing America. I was like, that's not true, but sure.
Yeah. NASCAR's dying anyway, so it's been dying for a long time.
But even then, like NASCAR is a huge like conversation in general.
Yeah.
As far as everything they do. But yeah, I love this movie, man. I can go on and on about it, but I won't because we got to go to break because we got to finish up this episode to talk about some other ones.
Yeah.
Especially, I think I'm excited to talk about High Flying Bird just because I'm such an NBA fan and it's the most recent one I've seen.
Yeah.
On Netflix because you saw a new one and we're gonna get your review of Steven Soderbergh's most recent movie. So make sure
you have to hype it like that.
I'm hyping it, bro. I'm hyping it. So make sure you guys stick around after the break for RB3's personal review of Steven Soderbergh's new movie, The Laundromat. Stick around, guys.
This ain't funny, so don't you dare laugh. With the 4/5 divide you in half. You getting at me equals a club half. You do the math, take you out the equation.
What is up, guys? We are back talking about Steven Soderbergh, and let's start right back. We're going to do a little bit this order, but let's go back to 2000 with Erin Brockovich.
Yeah.
RB3. What's your connection to this movie?
To me, this is a great movie. This is about the true story of an unemployed single mother, played by Julia Roberts, who helps bring down a big power company who's responsible for polluting the water supply. And this is a very potent movie, particularly in the 2000s. This is when Al Gore was running for president and became really the first person to really start talking about climate change on a public scale, on a big global scale. This is when the environment and climate change were really all starting to come into the conversation. And this was a movie that, while very much relevant in the era that it was produced in because it's based on a true story, it's also very relevant to today because we see places like Flint, Michigan still being overwhelmingly disenfranchised when it comes to water supply. And not only Flint, Michigan, there's apparently hundreds of other counties in the United States who also don't have full clean water supply. So it's very much a relevant topic in terms of the importance of water and why it's essential that is a priority, why the environment is a priority for
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's such a relevant, like you said, it's a relevant issue. In 2000, you're right, man, 2000. God, there was a presidential election in 2000.
Yeah. This, obviously, Julia Roberts won the Academy Award for this movie. And this is also the first time an actress had been paid $20 million for a movie.
Damn.
So it was a big deal. Yeah. I mean, it's a big deal on...
especially in 2000.
That's
like, that would be like 30 now.
Yeah. So it's a big deal on a commercial level, but I think more importantly, what it's trying to say politically and environmentally, that it's important that we take care of the environment because it has big effects, in the long term. So the importance of fighting. Yeah,
and the importance of the basic human rights of something like water, right?
Right.
Where it's something that it shouldn't become a political issue. This is something that I've argued so many times about how people be like, oh, is it politics to want clean water, man? Really? Like that to me still blows my mind.
Right.
So absolutely, man. And speaking of politics, my God, 2000 also gave us Traffic, RB3.
Yeah.
And this was, like you said, was the Oscar winner, right?
Yeah, so both Erin Brockovich and Traffic are both nominated for Best Picture and Best Director. This is the first time ever in Academy history where one director was nominated for two separate movies the same year for Best Director. One was for Traffic and one was for Erin Brockovich.
That's because he's always working, man. This guy's making so many... Like, he just goes.
Yeah,
even now, he's like going. He's still making more. Like you said, The Laundromat. Like,
I
feel like he just... What's it called? High Flying Bird came out this year.
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah.
And another, bro.
Yeah.
Two movies in a year is wild.
2 movies in a year, man. That's his thing, man. That's a consistency for him.
How about this movie though? What do you think about this one?
I love Traffic.
Gotcha.
I mean, Traffic is one of the ones. I think it's probably maybe the first Soderbergh movie I ever watched.
Do you feel like people confuse this one with Crash?
Yeah, a lot of people confuse
I still
it.
do.
Yeah,
I'm like, Crash? Oh,
Yeah.
Traffic.
And it's easy to confuse because
Yeah.
they're both stories about multiple characters and about dealing with a lot of different storylines.
Dealing with race, dealing with issues. with
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think this one tackles it a lot more directly.
Mm-hmm.
It follows Michael Douglas, who's like this judge, who's like super conservative leaning, but his kids or
His daughter.
his daughter is caught up in doing crack and doing cocaine. Where all the kids in this movie are doing drugs, and a lot of people criticize this movie for acting on a lot of extremes, where it's like all the rich kids are drug addicts, all the
Sounds like a certain TV show on HBO.
a great TV show on HBO.
Euphoria.
Nah,
Because, oh my God.
well, I mean,
They're like, you want to watch Marvel movies? Nah, let's do cocaine mixed with heroin. And I'm like, yo, what the hell is the show? And these kids are like 16.
Hey, listen, bro, that's real life, man. That's real life, man.
That's real life and that's rich kids, bro.
Yeah,
That ain't no.
But
Not everyone can afford that shit.
but hey, man, but that's why. But that's what this movie also deals with too. It also deals with families who are south of the border and who are having to deal with that side of the whole drug war kind of deal. And it follows DEA agents like Don Cheadle and who's the one homie who I get confused of. I confused Michael Pena that one time on the commentary. You know what I'm talking about? Luis Guzman.
Oh, Luis Guzman.
Yeah. Two DEA agents who are working towards figuring out what's the big deal here. So it deals with a lot of different intertwining stories. But I don't know what's like your overall thoughts on this movie.
I mean, this movie's very blue. It's a blue tinted.
Blue and very, very orange tinted too.
That's
when
right.
it's like outside in the Mexico parts. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, the color tinted in this movie is
striking. That's
incredibly striking. I mean, it's on purpose, obviously, and that's probably the biggest thing that stands out, literally. But on a different level, yeah, man, it's absolutely interesting, man. If you watch a show, for example, like Narcos, that talks about the war on drugs, especially during the Nixon administration, obviously, because he's kind of the one who started this, but how it became so political in the sense of how it just became a talking point, essentially, where I mean, you know this, man. Part of it became when obviously crack is a different level, but this is also the stuff that started with marijuana and how marijuana is the gateway drug and all this bullshit. But that's kind of where it came from, the Nixon administration, and also the amount of military offense in South America was kind of insane.
Right.
And American intervention was also kind of wild. But it's so fascinating to see how the CIA and the DEA would use the war on drugs as an excuse to do certain things in South America and to get away with things in South America and to even fund certain organizations that came back to bite them in the ass. Because guess what? That happens in the Middle East, right? I mean, how many times have we given arms to different organizations and all of a sudden those same people are shooting us, right? Or bombing us.
Right.
That's happened so many times, but it happened in South America with the guerrillas, and obviously Colombia is very known for it, which is where I'm from. And there's a lot of people there that have to struggle with that. But if I'm being honest, man, obviously there's always two sides to this, but at the same time, people don't realize there's always two extremes, and when violence meets violence, it's never good. That's just always my thing, because there's a lot of sympathizers with like drug cartels and drug dealers, and there's also sympathizers with very right-wing conservative governments who say they want the right thing, and when it's two extremes and when it's violence in the middle, it just never works. But I don't like elevating people who like to kill other people, and that's what cartels do, man. So I can't get behind that in any way. But at the same time, there is this entire family aspect to it, and there's this entire community aspect to it.
Yeah.
And it's I don't want to go off too much, but yes, Traffic touches on this stuff a little bit with Benicio del Toro, obviously, and a few other scenes in this show. I mean, in this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's really is. It's incredibly interesting when you're fighting something, and your daughter happens to be part of that. She's caught up in the battlefield, I guess.
Right. And yeah, I think that's what the movie's ultimate message is. I mean, you know, it deals with a lot of really heavy themes, and I think one of the things that Steven Soderbergh does to make it very realistic is, like you said, the tinting of the colors are very intentional. Also, a lot of the scenes that are shot in Mexico are handheld camera, so it gives it like a shaky intensity. A lot of it uses like natural light, so it's very like sharp and like very contrasty. It kind of adds to that gritty feel to it. Like I said, it kind of takes a lot from like documentaries, how a documentary would look if it was kind of shot in that way, very naturalistic, very neo-realistic. So yeah, I think Soderbergh employs a lot of good tricks here. That's why he won Best Director for this movie. So
absolutely, man. I mean, it's well deserved for sure.
Yeah.
Do you know about these Che movies? We mentioned it off camera.
Yeah. I mean, they follow a revolution that happened in Cuba, and you know, the overthrowing of the dictator. You'll probably be better at pronouncing his name.
Was it Che Guevara?
No, it's Batista.
Not Oh yeah.
Yeah. And how Castro
rose to power.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. So that's what the two-parter essentially revolves around. Now, I had watched one of these movies way back when, so I don't really have a lot of recollection on that. But based on real life history, and also adopts the same kind of style as Traffic utilizes with like the heavy documentary style.
It's incredible how, obviously I don't know anything about this movie, but I do know a little bit about Che.
Yeah.
I think everyone knows a little bit about Che, right? I mean, if you see his face, he's on T-shirts, for crying out loud.
Right.
Still, to this day.
Right.
And it's another thing that becomes kind of muddy because, what's his name? Castro died, I think, last year, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And it was a very big hoo-ha in the Univision and Telemundo and all these like Latin networks covering his death, because it's like, how do you cover the death of someone like Castro,
right?
Who's muddied, his history is just so muddy,
right,
that you're just like, I don't know.
right.
It's very tricky. So yeah, I mean, that's I'll definitely have to check those out. RB3. What's another one in here? There's Contagion and Haywire.
Contagion deals a lot with the World Health Organization.
Yeah, and so does Side Effects, right? I believe Side Effects does as well.
And the CDC.
Yeah.
These very much pay homage to a particular brand of cinema. You know, the disaster movie, the illness disaster movie. I remember even watching this the same year I was in high school, my freshman year of high school. I saw this movie when I was in what's that class? What was the class called? Medical something. I went to math and science high school.
Oh, that's right.
Medical occupations. That's what the class I was in. So literally at the same time we were learning about like the CDC and like World Health Organization and shit. Like this movie came out, so it kind of aligned like perfectly.
Sure.
But
and this was the time when The Walking Dead started too.
Walking Dead. I mean, there was a lot of anxiety at the time, particularly because like the swine flu was coming out big.
Remember
Ebola?
Yeah,
a lot of these
Ebola.
Like, yeah,
100%. I remember. I'm so sorry for that.
That was funny. So it was a lot of.
I remember that.
A lot of fear with illnesses spreading worldwide.
What was the mosquito one? There was a mosquito one. Oh, it was Ebola. My bad.
Yeah, but. There's I'm gonna type in because I know there's one by Wolfgang Peterson, where there was also another. He did a movie that was very much Outbreak. Outbreak was like the 1995 movie.
I totally remember that.
Yeah, where the monkey was spreading the diseases.
Yeah.
So this is kind of Soderbergh's kind of more high art, sophisticated version of that. You know what I mean? Like, very much takes the artistic side of Soderbergh's style and kind of makes it.
It's very interesting, right? When you talk about something being contagious and people being, what is that called? Not quarantine.
Quarantine.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. I knew that. But it's one of those things where it's like, how do you value human life? And it also turns back to Spock, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Where Spock says, the life of one is not as significant as the life of many, right? And that's kind of the entire CDC and health organization theory or motto is where, like, if someone's sick and they're going to kill everyone, sorry, fam.
Right.
We're going to probably kill you first or let you die before you infect everyone else. And it's kind of the like, what do you do when something that contagious is spreading everywhere, right?
Right.
And we see that in horror movies, essentially, and in my opinion,
and it does
zombie movies.
It kind of makes it into a horror movie type.
It is,
makes it into a humanistic, dramatic, like, horror movie.
I mean, we talked about it off camera, but Chernobyl. I know Sabrina hasn't finished it, and I know you haven't started. But it talks about that, where it's like, what do you do when that much radiation hits everywhere and everything's infected? Everything has to die, and the way they describe it is like, oh, we got to disinfect everything, and we got to kill everything that's alive out there, and you're just like watching. It's just horrifying because you're watching them people burn down nature because they have to get rid of this essentially contagion or radiation, which will kill you and which will give you diseases, and it's horrifying. It really is, like you said, a horror movie. Yeah.
And I
100%.
think that's why this movie was so effective when it came out. And I think Side Effects kind of goes for something similar, but kind of different in a way.
It's different. Yeah.
It's more of like psychological, kind of conspiracy horror type, like where you're getting a prescription from somebody. And you think that is really making you worse when
And that's the same thing we see in Unsane.
Yeah, in Unsane.
Have you seen this one?
Yeah. I haven't seen Unsane actually. Actually, I think I've seen parts of it, but it very recently became available on Hulu, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's on Amazon.
On Amazon, yeah.
Because I'm on your
You're
account.
using my account. That's right. And by the way, we have to get to Mr. Robot this season.
Yeah, I just finished Undone.
Really?
The Rosa Salazar animated.
Oh, don't tell me about it.
You know about it?
No, don't tell me about it.
I didn't even say anything.
No, don't tell me about it. Because apparently somebody said that is very similar to Timestamp, like script-wise. So I don't even want to.
Oh,
don't even tell me about it. Don't even tell me about it. But yeah.
I mean, you asked.
I didn't ask about that one.
Bro, you know what? After this, bro, next week, have you seen Your Name, Sabrina? Yeah, you're not an anime. I'm the only anime nerd in here. Yeah. Bro, watch Your Name.
Okay.
If you want a real, like, sexy little mini time travel shit.
It's an anime movie?
It's an anime movie, yeah. It came out 2017. I put it in my top 10.
That's right.
I own it, but I offered it to you, and you're like, yeah, I want to see it. And I was like, bro, I ain't giving you shit because you're not going to see this.
I'll see it.
No,
I consume the media that's given to me.
Oh, no, man.
I watched the Shaft movie and I fell asleep. But I will say that when I woke up, I saw my USC professor, Todd Boyd, who was doing like a little behind-the-scenes interview for it.
Yeah. So. Well, speaking of that, the idea of like, we're going so off topic. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Just time travel, man. It's so cool. I love it. I'm predicting, like, there's this theory that says in sci-fi, when people run out of ideas, they just go to time travel, which is kind of true. Yeah. But there's not rumors, but there's speculation about Stranger Things doing this in season 4. There's speculation that I like. That I heard about, and there's a few people that have said this, but it's literally reaching at the stars that Star Wars is going to do this in Rise of Skywalker. And I'm like, because the reason why is because of Endgame, right? Because Endgame did the same thing where they're just like, what do we do now? And they're like, time travel.
Well, it made perfect sense.
It made perfect sense, but what I'm saying is, like, it's starting to become this, like, Stranger Things might do time travel to end it. Yeah. Endgame did time travel to end it. Yeah. Star Wars might do time travel to end it too. And I was just like,
so I got Kevin Feige.
And I'm like, I'm over here crossing my fingers because I love time travel. And I'm like, yes, please go back to the prequels so I can see pod racing again.
That's funny. I'm down for that.
Oh, dude, I would love that. Are you kidding me?
I'm down for that for sure.
But anyways, back on topic. Let's move on to High Flying Bird, man. I really want to talk about this one.
Oh, for sure.
Because you love this movie.
Yeah, this is still my top 2 or 3 films of the year for sure. Probably put Endgame up there, Once Upon a Time, and High Flying Bird up there.
Nice, man. And you said Hustlers might be up there too.
Hustlers would probably be up there too.
Yeah, nice. Zazzy Beats, bro. Shout out to Zazzy Beats.
Zazzy Beats, wonderful Zazzy Beats, and one of my favorite shows, Atlanta.
Love her.
And of course, I mean, this whole cast is stacked. Salute to my mentor, Bill Duke. He's in this movie.
Andre Holland's
literally
great.
personal mentor of mine. Andre Holland is great. Skip Bayless plays himself in this movie, which I think is really funny, and Shannon Sharp.
But that's in the undisputed scene.
Yeah.
Let's not act like they're acting in it.
I mean, they're just playing themselves. Sure. But it's kind of acting.
Yeah.
That was the one part that wasn't shot on an iPhone.
What did you talk to me a little bit about Bill Duke, man? Because I think he's like the central figure in this movie. I don't know if you would agree with that. I think he is.
Agree with that. Yeah.
What is it about him and his career and his mentorship that you appreciate?
Oh man, I mean,
give him all the shout outs.
I got to shout out Bill Duke, man. You never get a chance to. I think I gave him some shout outs on previous episode, but without him, he taught me. He had a youth mentorship program that reached out to kids in the hood. Kids in Compton, Carson, LA, whatever. So I was part of that when I was in 10th grade. So it was like 7 weeks every Saturday. We come in and then we learn a little bit about filmmaking. That's how I learned Final Cut Pro for the first time. That's how I learned about how to write a screenplay. So literally taught us the fundamentals of filmmaking in like 8 weeks. Always my mentor. First internship that worked out before Schmoes was through Bill Duke's.
That's incredible,
company.
Man.
So That's really cool. He's my guy, man. I mean,
that's awesome.
Love
so
that man
when you
to death.
become famous and you win an Oscar,
well, I don't know if that's happening.
You're gonna give him a shout out?
Of course, man. I got to, man. That's my man.
You better give me a shout out too, man. I'm gonna be mad.
I got you. I'm gonna wear the First Cut T-shirt like on stage. You know what I mean? Like Chase and Entourage, like Vincent Chase. But
the premise of this movie.
So the premise of this movie, and I think to me, the reason I love this film, and it came out during Black History Month, which very underrated thing about this movie. This movie's a very pro-athlete, pro-basketball, pro-black movie. This movie deals directly with a sports agent who is fighting through a basketball lockout, which we did experience.
We did
pretty recently.
Mm-hmm.
And how his basketball client is how he's going to use the prospect of his talent, because again, like this movie deals a lot with the prospect of a rookie versus their action, and the prospect and potential of a rookie.
It's the Zion effect,
right? Exactly.
Where you're like, oh my God, I'm so excited to see Zion. I have to see this guy, and you haven't even seen him play one NBA game.
Right. But the sports agent utilizes that to try and make unilateral change throughout the film. And in the same way, this is why I love Steven Soderbergh. Where I talk about he makes challenging films. Like, it's hard to dissect what exactly the movie is about until you reach the very end, until he pulls out the book. And let me pull up the title of the book that he references towards the end of the movie. But the book that he references towards the end of the movie that throughout the whole movie, the main character is
a real book.
Don't open it towards the just open it when you know the time is right.
Yeah.
That book is an actual real piece of text that a lot of sports historians and a lot of people in sports have referenced. And now we're seeing the revolt of the black athlete. That's what it's called, written by Harry Edwards, who you actually meet at the end of the film. And this film the book in and of itself very much deals with how black athletes are kind of trapped in this organizational system where, to some extent, they're kind of considered slaves, you know what I mean? Slaves to corporations, even though they're making big checks, they're still being traded like ball players, but
like property.
But property, you know what I mean? Yep. So I think this movie in and of itself is telling you like, no, there's a way that we could get past this. And now we're recently starting to see real change in real life be instituted just yesterday with California passing
Gavin Newsom.
Gavin Newsom passing the whole bill where college athletes can make money off of endorsements now, which has never been done before.
Which the NCAA is fighting. They openly said they're going to fight that.
Yeah, but that's exactly why the NCAA is one of the most corrupt organizations in the world. And the NBA is largely considered probably the most woke sports organization and the most in touch sports organization. And this movie kind of deals with that too. But this movie also shows you that there are always steps forward that we can make.
It's a great, yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things where, yes, the NBA, as someone who listens to NBA podcasts, this is a thing that's happening now. It's called player empowerment, right?
Yeah.
It's the ability to freely go to different teams that you want to play on and play with different people. Right now, this new NBA season that's coming up is one of the most exciting times, personally, because of KD's attitude and KD's decision to go to Brooklyn and not stay in the Warriors. Obviously, he could have won more championships with the Warriors, but he wanted to do his own thing and go to Brooklyn and play with Kyrie. But it's exciting, right? I personally think it's so exciting to have someone like Paul George coming to LA. That's so cool. Whether you don't like the Clippers, you hate them, but that to me is like, he wants to go to LA, man. He doesn't want to stay in Oklahoma City. Now you got Westbrook in Houston. Now you got freaking Kawhi in LA as well. You got Anthony Davis leaving New Orleans because he didn't want to go to New Orleans. But that's okay because New Orleans has Zion and it has JJ Redick.
And Lonzo Ball.
I like Lonzo. I turned around on Lonzo, so don't hate on me. I wanted him to go to Phoenix. He wanted to go to Phoenix too.
You shitted on Lonzo Ball for an entire 2 years.
But the reason why I did is not because of Lonzo. It's because of the Lakers. I shit on the Lakers, not Lonzo. I said the Lakers never cared about him, and I was right. I was right.
They did.
No,
Magic
they didn't.
cared. Magic
No,
cared.
What are you kidding me?
As soon as Magic left, he got cut.
Dude, as Magic wanted to trade him, did you not watch anything?
Listen, bro, they can say whatever they want to say.
No,
I think
Magic is the one who said it.
Rich Paul wanted to trade
him. But either way, what I'm saying is this new NBA player empowerment is something that we're kind of getting a glimpse at this year in the NFL season. I don't know if you've heard about this, where certain players...
OBJ's won the $30,000 watch.
Not OBJ. Homeboy from the Jaguars wants to leave the team because he doesn't want to play for the Jaguars. And this weird NFL culture is now battling against player empowerment because the NFL ain't the NBA. Like Stephen A says on the first, he's like, ain't the NBA, because it's true. NFL is hyper conservative. It's like super conservative, where you best be grateful for me giving you this job and
$1 billion checks.
Where this
do you think Antonio Brown is player
but the problem with Antonio Brown is that he's muddled in so many other things that at this point it's difficult to defend him. He makes good points. I agree with a lot of the points he makes,
including fighting the GM
about Ben Roethlisberger. He made. I don't know if you heard about that.
No.
Yeah, Ben Roethlisberger is I was going to say a bad word, but I ain't going to say it. But he calls him out all the time, and I've been calling out Ben Roethlisberger for years because that guy is not nice. And everyone in the NFL knows about it, but he gets away with it because he's Ben Roethlisberger. But still, there's a lot of issues that go on with Antonio Brown that are not just that. But this movie talks about, what I love that it talks about? It talks about, quote, end quote, and I know you hear about this all the time, the culture. Right? But the power of the culture. Because like you said, the power of black people and black athletes kind of taking control into their own hands and being like, you know what, there ain't no NBA. Let's just shoot it. Let's just shoot it like Steven Soderbergh style. Let's just shoot it on iPhone. We'll get some people. And fans will love it. We'll put it on YouTube and it'll get 20, 50, 60 million views. We'll run ads. Boom. We make money.
Right.
Like,
building your own
that's
platform.
what would happen.
Yeah, building your own platform.
It would happen because everyone wants to see these players play.
Right. And I think the beautiful part of this being shot on an iPhone in particular is that the whole idea of shooting on an iPhone is kind of a revolutionary idea to begin with. Like, you're kind of breaking all conventions of cinema by shooting on something this big, per se. You know what I mean? It's using the resources that you have that are accessible and exploiting those to the biggest heights. And that's what this movie is about subtextually too, is like using the personal resources that you have in and of yourself by being a college athlete or being a primetime athlete, and using that to benefit not only yourself but others along the way.
That's exactly it. And part of it too is about using competition and using athleticism and using rivalry, if anything, because there's that two homies who are rivals, can create an environment of just money in general. Or like, about this, right? In rap battles or rap beefs, giving someone a response verse or giving someone is almost like giving them a check. because you're giving them that free promo, right? And that's kind of why people call you out. It's because of that free. A lot of it. I'm not saying all of it, but I'm saying a lot of hip hop does that, and that's why people like, I don't know, Drake and some other rappers have been like, I ain't even give you the free press, bro. Like, I'm getting a response for a rap, and then people want that, but the competition at the end between the two homies is like heated, right? They're yelling at each other. They don't like each other, but at the same time, in this weird subconscious kind of way, they're giving each other a high five and be like, I got you, man. You're getting paid. You're getting paid today, even though like we're fighting, but it's going to become viral and we'll get money off that. Yeah. It's almost this like subconscious like camaraderie that's bred in competition between black athletes. Like, let's get paid, bro, and we'll fight right now and we'll get that money. Right. That kind of happens at the end when they do the one-on-one or whatever. But either way, I just really enjoyed that aspect of like this system that we can use the system to pay each other, and we're fighting and we're angry, but we can use the media to get our paychecks and help out our moms. It's literally a storyline, or help get a girlfriend something nice. Get money essentially, and not use the agents or the owners to do that. So let's finish up with your review of The Laundromat, man. This has Gary Oldman. It's about money laundering, right? Or what is it about?
It's not exactly clear what this movie's about, which I think is really the most interesting part. I think
it's about a scam.
It's about it follows Meryl Streep's character. She gets into an accident early on in the film, like a cruise accident, and she's trying to cash in on the insurance for it. But like the further deep down she tries to investigate how to get in contact with the insurance people, she realizes there's really no insurance company. It's just a bunch of shell companies on top of shell companies on top of shell companies. And it's really a film. The film is very much like a European style The Big Short, essentially what it is. Because there's a lot of turning to camera, explaining what's going on, and emphasizing the kind of financial, because there's a lot of wonky stuff that goes into this movie. And it follows a lot of different characters in this movie and how they're all involved in these individual scams. So at points it follows Gary Oldman's character, who's kind of business partners with Antonio Banderas, and they own these, and they're like law partners who owns a lot of shell companies from a lot of different places. You know how American companies make random companies to hide money. So this is essentially about the undoing of that and how that led to like the big financial crisis in like 2008, 2009. So I personally think this movie is really great, even though I didn't fully understand it. This movie plays with a lot of vignettes. Another subplot follows Justin Long's character, who is like the cruise ship owner. He's like, well, how do I, like, I'm going to go out of business. Like, there's no insurance. So it follows how all of these individual stories kind of intertwine with each other. You know what I mean? It is a very loose, very episodic type structure. But and it doesn't really have like a clear narrative per se. But the films that it's referencing in and of itself very much paint the story for what this movie's about. And the films that it's referencing are a lot of the 1960s and particularly early 1970s French political films that were coming out of the French New Wave. Jean-Luc Godard. And there are very much there's imagery throughout the entire movie that alludes to that, but particularly Tout va bien, which is one of my personal favorite movies. It very much is like The Big Short, and the fact that it's like very technocratic and very like wonky about like finances and stuff like that. And Gary Oldman does a really weird acting bit with it where he has this like weird accent where it's kind of hard to understand.
This is very performance heavy, right?
It's all
Antonio Banderas is also like performance. Like they're playing quirky ass characters.
Everybody's a quirky character.
Yeah, even Meryl Streep.
Yeah, well, Meryl Streep is like playing Meryl Streep. You know what I mean? Like she just is great in everything.
Sure.
But it very much is in vein of like her being like the normal civilian who is caught up in this bigger, overwhelming scandal surrounded by all these kooky characters. So
Interesting.
Yeah, not a very clear and concise review.
It comes
I
out
guess,
on Netflix, though, right?
It comes out on Netflix.
I got it. I got your review, man. You said it's very episodic.
Very
you said
episodic,
It's very
yes.
story,
Yeah.
different little stories.
Here's what I'll
That
say:
sounds
if
cool.
you enjoy style and you enjoy a message, you'll enjoy this movie.
Sure.
But if you're looking for like a clear, cohesive narrative thing, you might be a little disappointed because it doesn't necessarily have that.
Gotcha.
But I think the style that it's invoking also doesn't have that either. Like the French movies that it's referencing does not have a very clear-cut means to it. And I love the fact that it's going on Netflix, and I love the fact that a lot of Soderbergh's movies are on Netflix because it will require multiple rewatches. And I think that's what the benefit of Netflix is that you could just kind of rewatch a movie instantaneously if you feel kind of lost on it. But it's very easy to get lost in this movie for sure.
Cool.
And I don't think, also, by the way, the reviews are kind of down the middle. Like it has a 57% on Metacritic or something like that. And I could totally see why a lot of people won't like this movie. And a lot of people probably have good reasons not to like this movie, but I personally really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's great, man. That's a great review.
Thank you.
I'll definitely check it out when it comes on Netflix.
Appreciate it.
But you saw it in theaters, though, right?
Saw it in theaters. Yeah, I saw it at the Landmark Theater.
What a weirdo. No.
Yeah, I don't even think it drops on Netflix. So my whole thing was like, I thought we should talk about this movie this week because on IMDb it said it's coming out last weekend. But it drops on Netflix like in a couple of weeks.
Sure.
But we got early reviewing people.
Can I side note conversation real quick about what is it about now, especially nowadays with Netflix movies, how you kind of have to pick and choose which ones you want to see in theaters and which ones you don't. We had a conversation off camera with Sabrina talking about the Netflix movies coming out that are getting a lot of Oscar buzz.
Right.
We got Irishman, we got Marriage Story with Noah Baumbach, and we got Two Popes, and then we got I talked to you about how the Michael Bay movie looks amazing. Yeah. And I'm going to see it on my laptop. Like, that's kind of disappointing. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you going to go pay money to see these movies on the big screen like you did with Laundromat?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it was great seeing this movie.
Irishman, for example. Are you going to go see that in the theater?
I'll see it. If it's in 35 millimeter or 70 millimeter, for sure, most definitely. And I think Laundromat in particular was funny to watch because I saw it in Landmark in one theater showing in LA at like 12:40 in the afternoon. So just a bunch of old people.
Hell yeah.
And by the way, I don't think the old people really got this movie either. Okay. So like it's a tough movie.
Yeah, you'll know when old people like a movie and don't like it.
Yeah, you'll hear them. Well, it's also, what we haven't talked about is Soderbergh is a very left-leaning director, very liberal kind of guy.
Yeah.
And through a lot of his movies.
Very clearly liberal, because I think most directors are left-leaning, but I think very clearly in all his movies he's making a statement.
But I think this movie in particular, it literally ends with like a political monologue.
Sure.
Like, this is what we have to do to change the country.
Sure.
So this is probably the most overtly political one that he's done in a long time.
Awesome. I think that's great. That's really cool. Real quick, favorite Soderbergh scene, quote, line, anything like that?
Man.
From Oceans, from High Flying Bird.
Well, for me,
your favorite quote or whatever.
For me, it probably won't be a quote in particular. For me, it'll probably be scene, maybe not even a particular scene, but the whole movie of The Limey, we haven't talked about.
Oh, nice.
That's like that's like 1999 or whatever.
Yeah.
That's one of the movies that personally inspires me as an editor because it has a very unconventional like editing style.
Sure.
And the reason why I say I can't really discuss like which scene is because the movie is edited in a way where halfway through a scene they'll start cutting to clips from the next scene. So like it's very weird in a way that like you'll be in one scene and then you'll start hearing random voices and random flashes from the next scene, and then by the time you get to the next scene, you're already halfway through the scene after that. So it's a very weird editing style, but
interesting.
It's very influential to me. It's another example of Soderbergh. Like,
I like how you didn't even.
Super experimental.
That's really cool, man. I like how you didn't even pick like a moment or.
But I mean, like, watch that whole movie. Like,
the whole movie.
I love noir. I love noir movies. So that's dope.
Okay, I gotta say mine.
Go.
This is something that I'm assuming went straight over your head. I don't know, Sabrina, what your connection is to a certain show that RB3 refuses to watch that I obsessed over and I was on a podcast about. But there's a scene in Logan Lucky that is so funny that had me in tears because the homie was making his list of demands, and he's like, better food in the kitchen. The prison homies made a riot.
Yeah.
They made a riot, right? You saw. I'm assuming you saw Logan Lucky, but the scenes where he's making the list of demands, and the warden is reading it, and he's like, "This is what we want." And he's like reading. He's like, "Okay, better food in the kitchen. We'll make it happen, guys." And everyone's like, "Yeah!" And he's like, "All right, what's this? You want winds of winter and the dream of spring from the Game of Thrones, guys? I can't give you that, guys. I'm so sorry, but the writer George R. R. Martin, he hasn't finished the books." and the homie in the back is like, "That's some bullshit, man. I heard my friend talk about this two crazy hot chicks," and he's like, "That's from the shows, guys. It's from the show. They're ahead of the." And it's just this like 5 minutes of them talking about Game of Thrones and how he's like, "Man, George R. R. Martin needs to finish this shit," and it's this commentary on like if you're a Game of Thrones head like me.
Yeah.
I was crying in the theater. I was crying so much because I was like, that is literally like, it made perfect sense. If you're in prison and you don't know about what's happening with Game of Thrones, it's so funny. Like, that would be my concern if I was in prison. I'd be like, what happened? Like, I need to know. Give me the damn books. Like, that was so funny to me, man. That killed me. But that was my favorite scene in the whole movie, just because it was very catered towards my liking. But yeah, Sabrina, thank you so much for withstanding 2 hours of us. You can come over here. Did you fall asleep at any moment?
No, it was great to be here. You guys did great. I love hearing you guys talk about everything, like your passion and everything.
I'm sorry.
No, it's great.
I feel like I apologize for everything because I'm just like, bro, I don't know. I feel like I go too hard.
No, I love it. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Glad to be here. So on Twitter, Sabrina X Monica, on Instagram as well.
Great. And you can find RB3 at Director RB3. You can find me at Squad Leader Ace. So we can follow each other and hang out more. Thank you for being here. Thank you for
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Like withstanding our monologues and rants, and especially me, because I go too much sometimes. But yeah, either way, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Alrighty, guys, for the Meaning Of podcast, I'm Andres.
This is RB3.
And this is
Sabrina.
And we are peacing out, guys. Peace out.